This morning I'm going to speak on looking up, looking around, and looking well. Is anyone in the service this morning that is directionally challenged? Some people are raising their partner's hand. Well, Vicky doesn't know west from east or north from south or left from right. She doesn't know that. She does get this way and that way if she's looking at you, but she likes the guidance from GPS because it talks to her. Then it has an arrow, and so that's the only way she can figure it out. And so, which way should we go, honey? Forward? How many rely a lot on your GPS, especially when you're going to places you don't know for sure? And we like to use our GPS. Might tend to be like the guy who said, when my GPS says estimated time of arrival, I see time to beat, and the game is on. I have to admit that that's tempting for me. I'm kind of competitive, so I at least think I can beat it by 1 minute. So I give it a shot, and usually I'm able to do it. I shouldn't actually admit it because it's just not a good thing to admit. But anyway, I would guess that 99.99% of the time GPS is amazingly accurate. And every once in a while you hear a story of someone who describes it like this. But dear, the GPS says we're doing fine. Well, I've never gone off the cliff so far, but I've been in some fields that I was looking for hockey games a couple of times. I end up in a field somewhere, and I'm glad we have more than one GPS so we can go to another app and find our way. Fortunately, we've made it. But by and large, I guess that some of us are appreciating the GPSs that we have. It wasn't easy back when we didn't have them. How many can remember that? A couple of you. And some of you weren't around for pre-GPS. This is what we had to put up with in 1978. Go past Jeff's house, then turn where the barn used to be. Go a little ways until you get to the house where that really weird guy used to live. And then go down a little road to the right, just kind of a bumpy road, and then cross over that bridge. And then you'll come to the place where those dogs used to always bark at us and chase us. And then you come to the place you're looking for. Some people, people say, to ask me where I live, and I say, do you know where Duluth is? And they say, yeah, and I said, nowhere near there. It's just to try to, and then they'll say, well, what's it, try to give them directions. And this is my favorite one, though. Do you know where 35W is? Yes. Just go down there a little bit, and when you meet a red car, turn left. That's how I got there last time. And no one, it doesn't seem to help very many people, but as we go about life, we look up a lot of different things on our GPS or our whatever it is, phone, yeah. I don't look up much, but Vicky does. It's amazing what's at our fingertips, isn't it? You can figure out how to change a tire, you can figure out how to fix a car, whatever. And so sometimes It's very amazing what comes our way. My son Kirby, his first ministry was over at Cold Spring over here, and he was there a couple of years, and they were going to go on to a building program, and their theme was look in, look out, and look up. Kirby was assigned with the look up, and sometimes he gets carried away with the stuff he looks up at or what he does, but he noticed that they had catwalks, because they were renting the school, catwalks over the seating, and he thought, I can use that. And so he was getting ready. He got a bunch of kids ready. He put some kids up over the catwalks, and he said, make sure that you don't move around too much. We don't want anyone to notice you. And then he said to the congregation, this is going to be a huge stretch for us. We've never had a building program before because they were always in the school. He says it's going to take a lot, and we're going to have to really be careful that when we try to accomplish this as a congregation, we need to make sure we look up and see what in prayer and ask God to bring in the needs and bring in the finances. And then he instructed those who were listening to look up. And this is what they saw. They saw money falling from the catwalks up on top. And now I've never seen any money fall from the sky. I've asked a few huge questions. I've prayed in some finances, but I have to look up and pray for the finances and a lot of other things. But I can tell you from personal experience that great philosopher Snoopy was right when he said, keep looking up. That's a secret in life. You know, as Christians, that's really our secret, isn't it? Look up, call on the Lord, have him help us. And looking up is actually a secret to the things that we're trying to accomplish in life. That's why the church body right now is looking up, asking the Lord and praying that our future, that this church will find the right pastor at the right time. And we get frustrated with the timing of it from time to time. But last Thursday, our search committee, we call it a transition committee here, met with the candidate online for an hour and a half. Then our board met with them online for an hour and a half. And now we're all in the process of making a decision. During this week, the board will have a meeting today, and our transition committee will have a meeting on Tuesday. And we're going to do our best to make our decision. Then the person that we're talking to has to decide. If we all agree, then we're going on to a interview in a couple of weeks. So we'll see how it goes. Encourage you to continue to pray. If everyone would pray a few seconds every meal, hundreds of prayers would go up all week long. And so we do that. And I just make everybody I'm with, whether they're Christians or whether they don't want us to find a pastor or whatever, I make them listen to me pray for a pastor every single time I eat. And so someone put it like this. When you look down, all you see is dirt. So keep looking up. Yeah. Looking up changes everything. Not only changes what happens, but it changes how we see things. The Apostle Paul put it like this. Don't shuffle along, eyes on the ground, absorbed with the things right in front of you. Look up. Be alert to what is going on around Christ. That's where the action is. See things from his perspective. When we see things from the Lord's perspective, it changes everything. It's hard to do sometimes when we're in a difficult time, but most of us have a tendency to see what's right in front of us, and sometimes a little bit that's behind us. But most of the time, a lot of times we're struggling with a problem, and we never want to face it. So we struggle with the problem, and we cease to look up when we should be. I've noticed that life is about 99.99% good. But then there's that lousy one thing that gets our attention and gets us distracted off from what we're supposed to be doing. And it keeps us from going down the right road. Keeps us from enjoying the rest of life. As believers, we understand, theoretically at least, that God has a far bigger perspective than ours. He sees things from the beginning to the end. He sees the past, the present, and the future. And all we seem to see is what's going on right now, and sometimes a little bit of the past. As mentioned in some of my previous sermons about looking back can strengthen faith and give perspective. But when you look back and cling to yesterday's experiences, it can be dangerous and destructive. We're looking ahead to our new experience, a new faith in what the Lord wants to do. Sunday school is a great place, or children's church, a great place for kids to learn things. And the Sunday school teacher was teaching about Lot's wife. And she was explaining how actually when Lot's wife looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt. And little Jimmy got excited. He raised his hand enthusiastically. He said, "My mother was driving the car and she looked back and she turned into a telephone pole." I don't think he had the conception of what the Bible was talking about there, but I was invited to speak at a struggling church up northeastern Minnesota several years back, and I noticed we have a clock back there that you can't really see very well, but Kevin, thank you. He put one right here, so all of us that are on a time schedule can see it. And the clock in the back of the church, over the years, there used to be a clock in the back of every church, and it was kind of a tradition. And it was there for the speaker, not for the people, And a lot of times the speaker ignored it, but the people always watched it. And this pastor noticed that all the time his congregation was looking back, and so he put a sign under the clock that said, "Remember Lot's wife." So it's kind of a pressure thing. And so I don't think anyone in his church turned into a pillar of salt, but that church never really got going. I think they were looking not only back at the clock, but they're looking back at history and never got a vision, never got a direction which they should go in the future. As believers, we are wise to try to look at all parts, past, present, and future, through God's perspective, not through our own. He's the only one that sees it all, and he wants to guide us. In Revelation chapter 4, John was given a vision of this incredible scene. Prowling around the throne were 4 animals, all eyes to look ahead and eyes to look behind. 4 animals were winged, yes, each had 6 wings. They were all eyes, seeing around and within. They chanted day and night, never taking a break. Notice what they said: "Holy, holy, holy is a God, our master, sovereign, strong, the was, the is, and the coming." Around the throne, someday we're going to be there. Our God is a God of the was, the is, and the coming. That means he sees complete picture. He sees the past, the was, he sees the present, the is, and he sees what's coming next. The psalmist was overwhelmed with this. Here's what he said: "You hem me in behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to obtain." the psalmist was overwhelmed by how God was always with him. I'm partial to this translation. I look behind me, and you're there. I look ahead of me, and you're there too. Your assuring presence, coming and going. This is too much, too wonderful. I can't take it all in. On the way up here this morning, I was trying to practice the presence of the Lord. You know that there's a lot of things that distract you, especially when you're driving. I might get there too fast if I practice the presence of the Lord. But every once in a while when I'm praying, I say, Lord, I just want to practice your presence. Practice your presence. Our infinite mind finds that we can't comprehend that kind of knowledge, what God is trying to do. We are, as Jesus said, of this world, and he is not of this world. I've met people that have all the answers from God. There is one God, and none of us are him. And so be careful. Be careful how you even say, God told me. Because if I don't agree with you, I'm against God. And I don't like that. But God does tell us things. He speaks to our spirit. And a better way is to I kind of feel it in my spirit. I find that God is trying to direct us. We are tied down by the mundane. He is touched with what is beyond our horizon. We live in terms of what we can see and touch, and he lives in other terms. And so we have to try to push into him. Our horizons are pretty small, and the things that we get involved in are we have all kinds of circumstances that confine us. Do you ever notice that sometimes you're thinking smaller than you want to think? You're not expanding your vision. You're not expanding what you should be doing. When we started the church pastoring up in Hibbing, and I showed you this decrepit building, and it kind of confined us. The space was so small from what we were used to, and the circumstances were heavy. And here's one picture I haven't shown you. This is the next picture is our, not this picture, but the next picture. This is our only classroom, 6 by 6, and it doubled as my office. Now let me just tell you, it's a little hard to think big if that's where you're. And so I have a hard time thinking small. I don't know why God made me this way, but I would be sometimes talking to our staff, and they'd say, "Not again." They said it sooner. The board would say it sooner than the staff, but not again. But I still continued to pray in the church with our Catholic friends, and but other times I would take my car, and we called it Boy Scout Hill. We'd take our car, and I'd drive up to Boy Scout Hill, which actually it was a mine dump, but it was big enough so I could look over, and I could see Main Street. I could see the City Hall. I could see the down in this corner. I could see the courthouse, and then I could see the school. I could see those three things, kind of the thing that run the county, run the city, and the high school. And I would look at it, I would say, God, could it be that you could use our church to make an impact on this town? Could Vicki and I and our board and our staff get a vision in our heart that would expand us behind where we are? Could we make a difference so that people in town would know we were there? And I used to pray like that, and God would drop, when I was praying, I thought God would give me $1 million and a big plan, but God just gives you a little bit at a time, and something that you could possibly afford, and it kind of goes a little bit here and a little bit there. But I remember, as I would look back, that was a wonderful place. And I wonder if you have if your prayer place is confined, I wonder if you'd like to maybe pray outside or find a place to expand what you're thinking and how you're doing it. My point is this. When we're confined and kind of boxed in with a small place or circumstances that are hard to overcome, it can be difficult to look beyond that. It'd be difficult to have bigger dreams. And so perhaps it was my way of trying to get a visual of what God was trying to do. Well, God was trying to do something new for Abraham, and he gave him an amazing visual. And look beyond what he had and look into the future. Abraham, all Abraham could really see is, I do not have a son. I do not have a son. And so God wanted to show him what could happen, and God was going to multiply his family through his son and through his descendants. So here, I love how God dealt with Abraham in Genesis chapter 15. It tells us that then the Lord took Abraham outside and said to him, look up into the sky, count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have. Now when you haven't had one yet, that's pretty hard. But the Lord said, look up. What's God asking you to look up for? Look up has a way of changing what we see, and reminds us how big and how powerful God is when we look up to him. The church sometimes has problems. There's a crush of problems that come our way, and it's easy to lose sight of what God wants to do with us, and perhaps even lose hope in some situation, or think this will never change. How many of you ever thought that? You've worked at it so long, this will never change. And so the Jewish people found themselves in that kind of predicament during a troubled period in their history, and here's what they thought. But Zion, Jerusalem in captivity said, the Lord has abandoned us, and my God, or my Lord, has forgotten me. They didn't realize that God had not forgotten them, but that's what they thought. The Lord answered, can a mother forget and have no compassion on a child she has born? Though she forgets, I will not forget, the Lord says. And then here's what he says. Indeed, I have inscribed a picture of you on the palms of my hands. Your city walls, Zion, are continually before me. Do we think God's that concerned about us? I like to think that way anyway. And so here's what the Lord goes on to say. The walls and your rebuilding are never out of my sight. Your builders are faster than your records. In some versions, your builders outstrip your destroyers. Look up, look around, and look well. Think about it. The building can be, at camp, in a few seconds, we blew up the old tabernacle, just disintegrated. And so that thought, life can be destroyed by one simple bad decision that can affect us the rest of our life. But Satan always tries to destroy, but God is there to rebuild faster than Satan can destroy, and we don't always know how to figure that out. But when God begins to build, things change quickly. The text goes on to say this. The demolition crew would be gone for good. I like that. Your destroyer will be gone. Well, that's going to happen on the other side. The destroyer is going to be gone for good. And I love the privilege that we have of knowing that the future is bright for the church. The day is coming, and what a day that will be when there's no There's no Satan to destroy us or ruin us. How awesome it would be on the other side of all of our problems. When we look at our major issues, taking all of our attention and is no longer an issue because we're with the Lord forever. I notice that people were instructed to look up and to look around and to look well. If we could look up, look around, and look well get a glimpse of what God is trying to do in our life. That future has laid it out in the very next verse. For your ruins and your desolate places and your land, once the scene of destruction, certainly now and in the coming years, will be too cramped for the inhabitants, and those who once engulfed you will be gone away. In the midst of problems, it's hard to see that. It's hard to trust the Lord like that. These are powerful words that cause me to wonder. I wonder what God has envisioned for this church. God has some pretty big ideas. God's got something pretty positive in the future. And God has new visions for us to receive and to move into. And I wonder what problems that engulf us now will one day be far away. Recently I heard someone say, if all you see is what you can see, then you will never see all there is to be seen. Now that's a little bit too deep for us to just pass over, but is that still up there? Think about that. But if we look up, look around, and look well, we begin to see beyond our current problems to the victory that God has in store for us. But the Bible says, for the Lord does hold victory in store for the righteous. Now, every once in a while I think of that verse, the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And then when I pray, I say, I don't feel very righteous. Some of you ever felt that way? I mean, I try to get there, but boy, I want my prayers to be answered, but sometimes I don't feel as righteous as I want to. When we look up, look around, and look well, we are reminded that we are not able to see everything, but God can see it all, and he can guide us through and direct us in our future. Some of you remember the story of Jacob, how he worked for his father-in-law, and over the years, how Laban, the godly man that he wasn't, he made a lot of promises. I mean, he gave the wrong daughter the first time, and he already paid 7 years. I mean, a lot of promises, promised one thing, delivered another, changed the wages 10 times. Circumstances like that can kill you in the journey. However, God was looking down and he saw it all. Now just the problem you have right now, God sees it. He's on your side. He sees where the trial that you're going through, the burden that you're carrying. And when Jacob was going through all this, God saw it all. And I'm struck by what the angel told him. And so let's read it together. Look up, and you will see only the streaked, the speckled, and the spotted males are mating with the females of your flock. For I have seen how Laban has treated you. Now Laban wasn't as smart as he thought he was. He made a promise. When you leave, you can take all the speckled, all the spotted, and you can take all those with you. And so God has all the speckled and spotted and and streaked males mate with the females, and so everyone born, every lamb that was born so Jacob could take it with him. So Jacob was instructed to look up and see what is really happening in this situation. Look around and see how and why the flocks are increasing. And if you look well, you'll see the sign that God is at work turning things around for you. I like to believe that for you. God's turning things around for you. He's getting you ready. Looking up, looking around, and looking well often means that we keep looking until we see the promise coming. Don't quit looking. Don't quit believing. Elijah was told that the rain was going to come after 3 years of drought, and he was actually expecting it to happen. However, Elijah expected God to do what he said he would do, but no one else was going to believe it but him. He said to his servant, "Go and look out toward the sea." The servant went and looked. Then he returned to Elijah and said, "I don't see anything." Well, he was his good servant, but he kept coming back with 6 bad reports. Finally, the 7th time, the servant told him, "I see a little cloud coming out of the sea. I see a little cloud about the size of a man's hand rising from the sea." That's all Elijah needed to hear. There are many times that when we, like Elijah's servant, maybe we have to go 7 times or more. Go back, keep believing, keep expecting. But let's be like Elijah and look well, knowing that God's promise is ultimately going to be fulfilled. And so that's where we're headed as we look into our problems and believe that God's going to help us. Let's stand together. I believe God has good things in store for his people. I believe God has good things in store for you. I believe God has good things in store for me. I believe with all my heart, or I wouldn't be here, that God has good things in store for this church. God has good things in store for us as a church. I think that all of us here have the same desire. God has something in store for us. So let's be people who keep looking up and be determined to keep our eyes open for God, watching for his works, and alert to the signs of his presence. God is going to help us through our journey. Elijah saw the little cloud. It was all that he needed. He knew the promise of God was coming and rain was going to come. He issued out a new instruction for his servant. So Elijah said, "Go tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot, go down before the rain stops you." Meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds and the wind arose. Heavy rain started falling and the power of God came upon Elijah. He tucked in his cloak and into his belt, and he ran ahead of Ahab all the way to Jezreel, faster than the GPS thought he would get there, because God was helping him. When the answer comes, things can change very quickly. Hallelujah. Or other times, more like my experience up on Boy Scout Hill, God sometimes just does a little bit, but he keeps doing enough, so we always get encouraged. God will keep doing for you what you need. Regardless of where you look and no matter of how you feel, we can just look at our problems, or we can look at the wrong answers, or we can look up and find that the Lord's going to help us. We can look up, we can look around, and we can look well. Looking up, the only one who sees it all, who was, who is, and is coming. What the Bible calls the I am, the God of everything, the was and the is in the coming. He wants to help you. Whatever your need is, He wants to guide you. And so, Lord, we look up. We want to have the faith that you could put in our heart when you show us the possibilities. Thank you for the possibilities that you showed Abraham. Thank you for the little changes that you showed Jacob as he watched the animals mating, realizing God is working for me. And God, I pray that you would put in our hearts, all of us, that God's working for us. He's got something special for us, and He is going to use our yesterday to break into a new future for our vision and our faith. If you have a special need, if you have a dream that has never been fulfilled, if you have a trial that you're in the middle of, believe God's going to help you. Our prayer team is here. Come while Kevin sings.
God, take us back to the place we began. The simple pursuit of nothing but you. The innocence of heart in your hands. God, take us back. God, take us back to an unswerving faith in the power of your name. A heart beating for your kingdom to reign. A church that is known presence again. God, take us back. Nothing and no one comes close to you. Nothing could ever come close. Nothing and no one. It's you and you only. Nothing could ever. Nothing and no one comes close to you. Nothing could ever come close. Nothing and no one. It's you and you only. Nothing could ever come close.
Good things happen at the altar. Good things happen right where you're standing. If you're dealing with God and God's dealing with you about something, let your faith just reach up. Believe that God has something special for you. Believe this is a turning point day in your life. If you want to stay and as Kevin continues to sing, if you have to go, feel yourself dismissed. But if God is helping you through a journey or a trial or a burden, bring it to Him before you go home. Have a great Sunday.